Well, thank you for joining us again for the big issues. Again, we encourage you to get interactive, and as always, we have cash out, and I'm encouraging you to make sure that you join this, and we have the short code. We have *439#. Make sure you join us, and then let's get interactive. Apart from that, you also get to have a great giveaway, so you'll be credited into your mobile money account just by simply dialing *439#, and then you make that choice, and ultimately you make as many of these stakes, and then you win as many times as possible. We're encouraging you to do that. At the end of the segment, we will also bring you the draws, and then you'll become one of many lucky winners for this morning edition of TV3 New Day. Please get interactive. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, as well as Threads. As you get interactive, let us know what you think. Many of you have been sending the messages already. I guess because we said we titled this one as a showdown, so many of you have been giving us. We'll read a couple of those messages as and when we're able to get the ultimate time for it. But let me just say good morning to a couple of you who are ardent viewers joining us on social media. Amoda Hamidu, waking up early. Thank you for joining us. You're based in the US. And then also Akasokre Joseph. Thank you very much for joining us as well. We're grateful. Amama Gold and Money Ni Money, Lion Ni Lion. Thank you for joining us. Silas Dwayne, good morning. You're live in London. And we're grateful for you joining us. Kweku Kwenu Techi, Kweku Techi, good morning to you. Abdullahi Jabiru, good morning to you. And then Ras Kotoka, Kweku Aaron or Aaron Brasu, thank you for joining us. Eric Isiedu, Lucky Pop, thank you for joining us as well. And then we have Sherry Giovanni, we're grateful. Mr. Adade, John Adade, thank you for joining us. Saliu, Raf Saliu. Yakubu Mohammed Najib Soheyeni. And then, of course, my man who is based in Kintampo, great guy. And Master Planner based in Kintampo. Thank you for joining us. Now, Mr. Adote, Shaddai Adote, good morning to you. And then Hassan Camille, thank you for joining us. We're grateful. George Yanda. Now, please make sure you share the stream as well. All of us, let's be part of this conversation. We're also encouraging you that *439# for your cash out is also available. But also available is the Dewa Chop Money, which also goes by Dewa 539 Chop Money, because we encourage you alongside to also collect your money. It will happen at 10 a.m. every morning. All that you have to do is to simply dial *446#. You select option 2 to play Dewa 539 Chop Money. And then you also get to win 20 times your stake with Direct 1, 40 times your stake with Direct 2, 400 times your stake with Direct 3. You can also make a choice by picking from the ranges of the numbers 1 to 39. It then becomes an easy win for you. Just in case you have some inquiries to make, please make sure you visit the site www.dewa-nla.com to play Dewa 539 Chop Money and let us know what you think. But let me just introduce my distinguished guests for the morning. I have communicating for the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, a great supporter of the Bawumia campaign, and then also a man in his own right. Kofi Tonto is here. Kofi Tonto, good morning to you.
Good morning, Robert.
Great.
Good morning.
And then also newly appointed director of the legal team of the opposition NDC. So the NDC's legal team head is right here, the distinguished legal practitioner, Eduji Tamaklo. Which is your constituency, sir?
I have many constituencies.
Okay. So which of them are many? Just mention 2, since you're a man of many colors.
Domikwabenya, that's where I'm resident.
Oh, okay. So, Domikwabenya, okay. Thank you for joining us as well.
Roland,
we're grateful.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning to our cherished viewers. Good morning to the NDC fraternity, the rank and file. And I want to thank them so much for the confidence. But it's rather the legal directorate.
Okay.
Yes.
So you are the head of the legal directorate?
Director.
Director of the legal directorate.
That is so.
Fantastic.
I want precision.
Precision.
Yeah.
He's a big man.
Director of the Legal Directorate of the Opposition NDC, and we're privileged to have you.
Thank you.
Newly appointed.
Let me join you in saying congratulations to Eduji. I saw it on Facebook.
You did, eh?
And I meant to even call him, but it escaped my mind. But certainly, he deserves it.
You guys have been calling each other.
Yes.
Oh. You never call me. Why?
Have you given your number to me?
Okay.
Okay. So Eduji and I are very good friends outside of this space. So I meant to call him, but I couldn't. But this is even more a bigger platform. So, Charlie, you've done well. You've come very far.
God.
This is a big
everything.
position.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll preface the discussion with a communication that's coming from the MPP. And the ruling MPP, according to the latest statement, is having the decision made that certain individuals will be brought before its disciplinary committee. And Robert Coleman says, you know, the chief executive for Wembley Sports Construction. He says
he's doing extremely well.
Yes, you're doing some great work. Congratulations to you. From Robert Coleman, chief executive, Wembley Sports Construction, great friend of mine, chief shatter, chief trainer.
Tell him that some of the AstroTurf should come to constituencies
that need them to develop sports.
Yeah, it looks one-sided. So
how does it look one-sided?
Okay, Robert Coleman.
Eduji, how does it look one-sided?
Okay, let's make progress.
All right, so this is what the ruling party, the MPP, did put out. Now, according to the MPP, while it extends its gratitude to stakeholders for exemplary showmanship during the special electoral college election, let's scroll up, get to the crux of the matter. They say, pursuant to Article 1075 of the MPP Constitution, certain individuals, namely 1, Raphael Patrick Safo, 2, Charles Dochi Yao Ado, 3, Musa Sulemana, 4, Hope Singh Yaovi Adoye, will be referred to the party's disciplinary committee. Now, this is serious. They continue by saying this is the direct response to evidence, including video and photographic materials, which suggest that potential violations of the provisions outlined in Article 35A of the party's constitution and a potential misconduct under Article 47. Emphasis must also be placed on the fact that Kennedy Ohini Japan, the Honorable, pursuant to the above-mentioned constitutional provisions, will also be summoned before the disciplinary committee of the party. Now, we'll bring you Kennedy Japan's video, which precipitated all this. But it's also based on a certain action based on reports that he had. So if the video is ready, let's get it going. Kennedy Japan raising some concerns. He was in University of Cape Coast where he was monitoring the elections. And according to him, he was not happy with a number of things that had happened. First, Kennedy Japan.
President Akufo, member will show down. Vice President, member will show down. So, Mama chasing me agent. I'm not going to shut them. What do you embassy? What do you embassy? Yes. Me challenge President Akufo at any time. In this country, President Akufo, member will show down. Vice President, member will show down. So, Mama chasing me agent. I'm not going to shut them. What do you embassy? What do you embassy? Yes. Me challenge President Akufo at any time.
And that said, subsequently, we had a number of incidents that also were reported. So we'll play a line of videos, including Hope Singh Adoye, who had been raising some concerns. And then also Yabuabia Samoa, former member of Parliament, Director of Communications, formerly of the MPP, and then now the Communication Director for the Allen campaign. Here they are.
Let's go. Yes, I'm saying that we have received reports that in the Northeast, voters were showing their ballots. And when our agent protested, he's been assaulted and is now in the hospital. And therefore, the Alan Chermatin team is going to file for nullification of the Northeast regional vote, the entire vote. If that process is is not followed through and the vote in the North is nullified, it will contaminate the entire election results. The rules say that nobody can show a ballot that has been thumb-printed. The ballots they were showing were for the benefit of the vice president. We are assuming that Tim Bawumia has instructed people to show the ballot as they go along. That is against the rules that we all set for ourselves. And if the rules are being broken with impunity, then we must take punitive action. The party says, the rules say that any ballot that ought not to be in the box is rejected. So if those ballots have gone into the box, the entire box must be rejected. That is our position.
Are you not beating retreat so quickly?
What is retreat? From what? This is a mere selection. We are electing, you are selecting 5 people. You are not even electing it. You are selecting 5 people. We don't need
in a certain direction so that he can lose his or her job. Oh, I am saying that people who have been in government for these years, who are even old ladies, they still want to continue. So do you think he's going to vote in a certain direction? What are you talking about? They say an old lady wants to be a vice president. How much more the young ones? An old lady wants to be a vice president. The rules to change. In discipline, I say more the rules were clear. That when you come, that thing. Chief of staff was here giving money to people. Chief of staff is coming. And yes, yes, no, but kind of serious allegation. Yes, true. No, but I mean, you're sounding bitter already. Me. I did miss no men can't watch him. What is it? What?
Central region, Montpellier for no or man to Abanama Bawumia.
Most of the relegation, you walk back at Wise Nazakis.
Okay.
Your local relegation, by 20 years, break the 8, break the. You break the 8 now, you break the. Young quarrel, yeah, Missy, you break a shade. Because this salon, and go for the bread, and go for the cassan. You go round simple, you two cache. You go, you may guassy.
I don't know who is Dr. Bawumia or.
Ah, but no, that's a cannon. Not can no work as a bottom. It's a cannon, the can I guess a bottom. This over say can't pay people 1 for 10 candidates in Amara against.
Now, so as it is, of course, we had a conclusive statement made by Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. And the observation on social media, Kofi, it seemed to be jubilating before we have the November 4. Making consideration for all the things that have happened, there are concerns among some key people on social media that the party should not be disciplining or asking certain individuals to be appearing before the disciplinary committee. Kenny Japan, what has he done? We had Hopes in Yalvi, what has he done? You can see clear complaints from them.
Okay, a very good morning to you again. I have a very good friend who's listening to me, Dr. Antwi Bosiakon. He's the Marketing and Public Affairs Manager at Takoradi Port. He listens to you a lot and he sends a very good morning to you. Thank you.
Is it related to Chairman Wontumi?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Why? Because of the Antwi Bosiakon?
Yes.
Oh, no, I don't think so. It's a very common name in Ashanti region. So, anyways, before I come to your question, a very valid question, let me say that first and foremost, we commend all the 10 aspirants who came out to be voted for. It's not an easy sort of responsibility to take on, to avail yourself to be voted for. Aside from having to traverse the entire nation, issues of making a case as to why you are the right person to lead. It takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of commitment. So we certainly commend all of them. We think mostly, generally, they all conducted themselves very well. And so we congratulate everyone.
Who conducted themselves very well?
Oh, I think leading up to the elections. I mean, there are, of course, disagreements here and there, but I'm speaking about the individuals, the leaders. I think they all sort of did their best to make sure that we had a very successful process. Also, party leadership, the Electoral Commission, the police, all of them did their best to ensure that we had a very successful elections, barring a few circumstances here and there, which for a major contentious election like this sometimes are expected. So that's normal. But to your question, I think our party has rules and regulations. And the rules and regulations as stated in the press statement of the General Secretary, I think we have to leave the party to do its work. What I would say, what other people would say is immaterial. The party has processes, we have rules, and the party feels that there are individuals who have breached parts of the rules. Mainly, I believe, is when you have grievances. The party has put in place structures as to how to address your grievances. And the issues of certain individuals, a few people showing their ballots, for example, there are rules. So the party has every right to sort of go into these issues and then interrogate them properly to ensure that no rules properly were breached. And I think that's fair. I don't see it to be gagging anyone or anything like that. Hobson, for example, made certain pronouncements live on TV. I think it's only fair that the party calls him to vindicate or validate his claims. Honorable Kennedy Agyapong made some comments. I think it's only fair that his concerns...
You are saying Honorable Kennedy Agyapong has been lying in the video?
Oh, why did I say he lied? I haven't said anything like that. Okay. I'm saying that he made some comments, and that the comments he made ought to be interrogated.
I see.
He raised allegations, and I think it's only fair that the allegations are interrogated. Because if someone who is contesting, a keen member of the election, is contesting, and the person is raising concerns, I think it's only right that he's called and then he's interrogated, he provides the evidence, and then the party takes a decision. I think it's only fair. So I don't have any qualms as to these individuals getting invited. Now, there's this information out there that people were forced and people were coerced and that people were likely to lose their jobs, etc. For me, it's absolutely a non-starter. It's neither here nor there. A simple or a cursory review of the persons who voted will tell you that it's not true. In fact, the people who were appointees amount to just 22 people out of the 900 and, what was the total? 920, 23 voted, valid votes, but just 21, 22 were appointees.
There were also some spot ballots as well.
Yeah, there are 927 total.
Now, there's a gentleman who is an Alan man, an agent in Northeast, who was badly bruised or injured. He had swollen eyes.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. Yeah.
Why is it that there seemed to have been a certain machinated attempt to only protect the candidates of the status quo, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and so relegating the interests of the other candidates to the background? I mean, that's the feeling you get.
That's quite an unfortunate statement, an unfortunate premise. There isn't any status quo candidate. There are candidates, 10 of them. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is one of them. We had 17 stations where the elections were held. And we had one incident where, from what I have heard, a gentleman apparently lifted a ballot. And then the gentleman in question approached him, trying to confront him aggressively. And then the other person reacted. Now, that is why the party is taking the right steps to interrogate the issues and to investigate it. How does that amount to the status quo or someone coercing or machinations or whatever? If there were machinations, how come there weren't machinations in all the 17 stations? How come there weren't machinations in all the 17 stations?
Kofi, the concern is that even for all the things that are happening, these are even a crop of delegates who are the creme de la creme, the most distinguished elite of the New Patriotic Party in a small electoral college. And all these things are happening. So the fear from the rank and file of the supporters of the other candidates, i.e. Alan Tremantin, Kennedy Agyapong, is that when it comes to the over 200,000 delegates in November, it will become chaotic. What do you say to that?
I think this is a figment of your own analysis because the facts are very clear.
It's a question I picked.
No.
I picked from the
Roland,
sources from the various camps.
No,
it's not my own analysis.
No. The bottom line is this. You are a journalist. There are 17 stations, 927 votes casted. Tell me, out of the 17, how many of them reported violence or any form of malpractices? Tell me. What we know is one instance in the Northeast region where a gentleman aggressively confronted another gentleman and he reacted, which led to violence. That cannot be a systematic machination to sort of undermine anyone. There isn't any such evidence. Absolutely none. So let's not use one instance to define a whole process. Everybody will tell you. Even when you read the statement from Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, generally, he didn't even cite malpractice or anything. When you read the statement from Honorable Alan Kyerematen, yes, he cited the issue of his agent, but he didn't raise issues of malpractices or anything.
The agent is
like
on
that.
the screen.
Yeah, I've seen the video. But the point of the matter is that what transpired, what I know, is what I've explained to you. But what I know is not even necessarily the fact. And that is why we have police, we have the Electoral Commission that was there, we have party agents, 10 agents. So how come out of the 10 agents, if it was a systematic decision to undermine and assault everybody, how come we didn't assault all the other 9 agents? Have you asked yourself that question? There were 9 agents. Are you asking
me the question?
No. I'm asking you the question.
Oh, it's a rhetoric.
I'm asking you the question to ask the people because you seem to be the person gathering questions. So gather my question and ask it. There were 9 agents in addition to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's agent. How come?
Because they pose a threat.
Who posed a threat?
The other candidates.
In what sense? And I'm saying that the 9 other candidates, one of them was involved in an altercation. How come the other 8 were not assaulted? How come the other 8 were not chased out? That should tell you, that should prick your mind, that indeed it was a one-off circumstance that transpired. What accounted for it? Let's investigate it. But this wholesale attempt to sort of create the impression that people were coerced, people were attacked, people were chased out, that's unfortunate. There is nothing like that. 17 stations. How can you use one circumstance to define the entire process? I don't think that is fair. Absolutely unfair. And this attempt to create the impression that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a status quo person and he's being favored, all of that, quite unfortunate. I don't think that is necessary. The bottom line is that the people who voted, 25 of them were regional national council members, 24 national executives, 30 founding members, 272 regional executives, 275 constituency executives, 137 MPs, 14 regional ministers, 7 substantive ministers, 80 external persons, 40 past officers, and then 9 special organs. Just about 21 were appointees. The remaining were persons on their own who don't work for the government.
And then somebody came up with a swollen eye, blood all over.
Anyway, why are you so bent on someone coming with a swollen
Now let's speak to Nana Ohiningto. Nana Ohiningto is one of the key leading spokespeople for the Alan Kyerematen campaign team. Good morning to you, the distinguished Mr. Ohiningto.
Good morning.
Now, based on the descriptions particularly, and then the responses that have come from the party, what would you say from your camp, the specific incidents that you had raised questions on? I'm saying that based on the incident that had been noted and reported by your team during the period of the election, how would you describe them? Especially juxtaposing the position of the party based on its own statement that has been made public so far.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And with specific reference to that incident, I would say that I really thank God that it didn't get worse than it was. And that the way the thing looks, it could have been worse. And I regret very deeply that in an internal election, when the whole party hierarchy, in collaboration with all stakeholders, contestants, electoral commission, the police, have come up with rules and regulations for an election to be peacefully conducted. And it was all to the extent that this election will generate confidence and trust among the rank and file of the party that there could be this kind of a smudge on the sheet. I think it is very highly regrettable because if in our internal elections, we who pride ourselves in the highest democratic ideals cannot show Ghanaians and the world that we can live up to these ideals, then it is highly regrettable. You know, and the police have given us a lot of assurance, but I am sorry to say that the reports we got will not indicate that the police did intervene well enough. There are lapses, there could be lapses in any situation, but I think this is not a good indicator for the NPP going forward, because the people who took part in that election in Nalerigu were not more than 28, 29, maximum 29. And if supervising an election of a vote of 29 people voting, this could happen. So if you had about 2,000, 1,500, 3,000 in one voting center coming up in November 4th, what should we expect? I think that this is not a good sign at all. And it doesn't give me much confidence going forward that the things we say we will do, the rules we say we will put in place, fine as they may be, we're able to enforce them. That for me is a big regret, honestly.
Now, that said, and you making mention of November 4, does it mean, looking at all the efforts that your team put in place, your candidates traversing left, right, center, north and south, east and west, the country, it makes you question how free and fair the November 4 election could be for the over 200,000 delegates, where the elections rather is going to be conducted not within the always prying eyes of the public and even observers, but also every nook and cranny of the country. Does that get you worried?
That's exactly what I'm saying. If you had an election where the total number of voters on the register at a particular center is less than 30, and you can have this kind of incident, the police present, the electoral commission present, party headquarters reps present at all centers, and this happens, I shudder to think what might happen when you have 2,000, 1,800 at one center. I'm just imagining, is NPP paying attention to these things? You might want to isolate it and say, oh, this is an isolated incident. It is not isolated. Indeed, in Kumasi at the University of Science and Technology, if one agent of alarm had not succeeded in raising an issue, that didn't escalate to the shedding and the spilling of blood anyway. But if he hadn't done that, this same thing would have happened. Fortunately, the ballot did not drop in the box and it was disqualified. This one in Nalerigu, my information is that even when the ballot was disqualified, electoral commission agent, officers were thinking of giving the same voter, instead of punishing, they were giving the same voter another ballot to go and recast. And when the results came, I saw that the results read 28/28 for Vice President Bawumia. So I'm like, so did they eventually still give this person a ballot box, a ballot paper for him to vote? To the extent that the vote counted now comes up to the 28. I mean, these are serious matters. this party is digging itself into self-destruction if you don't pay attention to these matters. Seriously speaking, I'm telling you.
And you are a very experienced person, not only as a politician, but also having managed issues of communication very well across all spheres of the publics. Now, if you look at the posture of the party issuing the statement and then its posture towards your camp and the camp of the other candidate, with the exception of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, do you think there's a certain sense and posture that the party seems to be favoring a certain status quo candidate?
You see, I'm not the one who's going to say this. In the media, if the media people, including yourself, will honestly and objectively and professionally analyze the situation, I'm sure you've heard about a phenomenon called the establishment candidate, which clearly points to Dr. Bawumia. When Parliament is having serious business, MPs are following Dr. Bawumia to events and functions. That is the establishment. And nobody sees anything wrong with that. Nobody is saying that if the vice president has to attend an event, then he has no right. He's the vice president. But there are so many things that happened in this process where people working in the public sector, and I'm sure you follow this, so I don't even need to go mentioning individuals' names. Chief executives spending money that they definitely have not earned on Bawumia's campaign.
I see.
And everybody behaves like we haven't seen it. We haven't heard it. So all of these things culminate in what we are seeing. When you talk, people say, you people, you're always complaining. I'm not complaining. I want us to look at the circumstances on the ground and the evidence that we are all looking at and be honest for once in Ghana and stop pretending. Of course, we're all Ghanaians. What is happening in NPP doesn't have implications only for NPP.
Okay.
That's what I'm sure you know.
Okay.
It doesn't have implications only for our party or for the individuals who are involved in this whole process. It is something that intends to turn out a president for Ghana. And if the processes themselves can be faulted to this extent, then you can imagine what that means.
Okay.
For a whole society. So I'm saying that these things, well, maybe today somebody thinks they are beneficiary of whatever the process is. Fair enough. But it has consequences for all of us. I think those are things that we should all be concerned about.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Nano Hidinto, a senior advisor on strategy and operation, the Alan Kojo Chairmantin campaign, and Aduji, watching from the sidelines. Okay, you've just been newly appointed director for the legal directorate of the NDC. From your sideline observations, are you worried? And what sort of worry is that?
Very well. So, I think generally, the so-called super delegates of the MPP.
It's not. It's in the Constitution.
Please, calm down.
The
so-called super delegates of the MPP have basically decided to select or elect one of the fruits of the poisonous tree. Yes. So effectively, they have only put before Ghanaians one of the fruits of the poisonous tree that Akufo-Addo has created. And so I am not surprised with what has happened. The leadership of MPP under Akufo-Addo Bawumia, from the very time he took over the MPP, is one of intimidation and violence. If you look within the 10 years that the MPP has been under the control, direction of Akufo-Addo, the MPP had been turned into a party of taps and tagging.
How so?
As leader in opposition and having become president, what he had used the MPP for is staggering, violence. At a point, the MPP headquarters had become a signpost of violence. And so that is the record. And that record cannot be whitewashed. That said, if you look at what has happened, in fact, on Saturday, you will notice that the whole system was engineered to favor Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
How?
Look, there are 10 aspirants. 9 out of the 10 wrote a petition to the National Council and said, listen, we are going into an election. The first time we tried the super delegate system was in 2014. The record will show that 9 MPs in Ashanti region who openly campaigned for Allen, after the 2014 primaries, they became the subjects. They were targeted by the Akufo-Addo people. With this background, let all the delegates come to a particular point so that they cannot be targeted or the regions cannot be targeted. So when you do the poll at one central location, it helps. 9 petitioned. 1, the establishment candidate, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, did not partake in the petition because the status quo favors him. At the end of the day, the National Council refused the petition and said it was baseless claim and went ahead and allowed the system that favors the establishment candidate, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
So you're saying there's a certain history?
So there's a certain history. Why? What is the outcome? We have seen people being beaten, the Northeast. And remember that Northeast happens to be the region of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. I have seen a video where the Upper West Regional Minister was openly warning the regional police that he is in charge and not them. That is the level of impunity that Akufo-Addo has turned Ghana and the NPP into. So the record shows that the NPP has now made violence part of their politics, and it is going to be so. You remember famously the Akufo-Addo Yena Kamfo in the Tiwa.
Okay.
That is his make.
What has that got to do with this election?
No, it is part of his make, political make, violence, thuggery, intimidation. And that is how he had ruled this country, almost at the point where you can describe the country as having a culture of silence. But you see, if you look at the details, and I want us to examine the details relative to performance, individual performances. At the end of the day, Bawumia came out with almost 68% of the delegates. Poll watchers and pollsters said he was going to do about 70-something%. He ended up doing 68, if I'm correct. So what it means, that the establishment candidate has about no less than 30% of the elites of the NPP opposed to his candidature. And for me, this is very serious.
You're saying that's very instructive.
Very instructive. You see,
also,
the super delegates, so-called, are supposed to reflect the higher decision-making body beyond NEC and all those things relative to these presidential primaries. Then it is open to the generality. Now, if these people who are supposed to be filters, because they are supposed to filter the number, if these filters, the elites, over 30% are opposed to the establishment candidate, what it tells you is that this is a disaster of a candidate in waiting.
Who?
And I am pleased that it has turned this way. What is the record? When Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was put together for the 2014 NPP super delegates, he came out with 81.28%. 81.28%. That was his record. Today, if after a little over 8 years, the person that you have ruled this country with, the man you claim his brain is what you have used for governance, if your own super delegates, over 32% are opposed to his candidature to even lead the MPP, how much more Ghana?
You're saying that is worrying?
And pleasing to us. Because to even have 20% of your core support opposed to your candidature, that should be concerning. But of course, it is said that he who the gods want to destroy, they will first make you mad. And so the madness is going to continue till it gets to where it has to get to. But you see, I have listened to Hobson Adoye. And Hobson makes a very instructive comment. He said, let us be worried about the IMF money. They have paid monies. They have paid monies. Hobson Adoye, and I'm quoting him. Today, just this morning, a while ago, and I was writing, Nana Hinto again makes a very instructive comment. He said appointees of Mr. Akufo-Addo decided to manipulate the super delegates by sharing monies that they have not earned, unquote.
Yeah.
Monies that they have not earned. If an appointee is spending money that he had not earned, that's stolen funds. Prima facie. So, Nana Hinto is a very respected, seasoned. In fact, he rose to the point of becoming General Secretary, the Chief Administrator of the MPP. He made the point on public platform like TV3 that appointees of Mr. Akufo-Addo use monies that they have not earned to support the candidature of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. This is not me. This is an MPP former General Secretary saying it. And he makes the point that this is not the MPP that they have built. Obviously, it is not only Ghana that Akufo-Addo has destroyed, but even the MPP in terms of his credibility.
Just because of what Mr. Ohinto said?
Ohinto, between the two of us, even my brother Kofi, if you rank them, Ohinto's view carries weight, having risen to the point of General Secretary of the MPP. If we are beginning to use Ghana's money to the point that we are even being told that we should be worried about the IMF money, these are very serious matters. The IMF that we went on our knees begging.
Are you not ashamed?
That this is it. We are being told that we should be worried about the IMF money. And all citizens of this country should be worried this morning about the happenings on Saturday and how money was used to achieve a particular outcome. You are a media man. I saw you when Hobson was talking. You were there.
Yes, I was.
I saw the video. I saw you there. Were you allowed into the voting center?
Yes, there was a perimeter that was created. No, it's not like the usual voting period where you are closer to the voting structure or the booth. So there was a perimeter. And actually, at the headquarters, we were a bit restricted than usual.
So, the political party that claimed development in freedom, even media men. So the whole idea is to ensure that you cannot report accurately what really transpired. And as a media man, you should be worried. Because one of the things that has really shaped this 1992 Constitution is the freedom and the opportunity given to media men to cover such, events. We have seen a situation where that particular thing was not allowed in the... What is it that they were hiding? What is it that they didn't want you media men to report to Ghanaians ultimately? The MPP, beyond normalizing violence in this last, super delegates conference, have also demonstrated that they do not have the development of this country at heart. Look, and so I will conclude here.
Please do.
This Akufo-Addo Bawumia toxic cocktail of incompetence, toxic cocktail of incompetence, recklessness, unbridled borrowing is what today has resulted in the destruction of the Ghanaian economy. No doubt. They themselves admit that they have destroyed the economy and that the economy is not in the shape that they took over in 2017. Now, the very person, the poster boy of the economy, the person who has superintended on the destruction of this economy, the super delegates go and say, he's the one that we want to lead us. The net result is that even the super delegates have elected upon themselves to insult the sensibilities of Ghanaians.
But that's democracy.
It is not about how democratic is it, but it is about insulting the intelligence of Ghanaians. It's like saying, we don't care what you Ghanaians say. We are happy Bawumia and Akufo-Addo have destroyed the economy. They are the ones that we want. To hell with you. We await them.
Okay. There's a video of the regional minister of, I believe it has to be Dr. Salifu. And if we can play that video, and I'll ask a question of Mr. Tonto right here. So, Oliver, the video I just dropped, please play it and let's hear.
Mama show down.
Tell your boys there. I'm the regional minister. Right? There's any school here, but none of them can challenge you. Yeah? Yes. Good morning. Good morning. You're welcome. Thank you.
Subsequent to this, there was an agent of Kenny Japong who had raised questions that the minister's comments that he was a regional minister also gave a certain atmosphere of intimidation to the agent. Now, is that the case? Are the status quo and the structure of the individuals appointed, they wanted to inflict some level of fear and a siege mentality on the opponents?
Roland, the video you showed is just the regional minister saying, I'm the regional minister.
Showing bravado.
I don't know what transpired. I don't know what caused him to even say I'm the regional minister. I don't know. So how am I supposed to watch a 30-second, 40-second video and pronounce judgment? But anyways, it's quite unfortunate, but because there's been an attempt the entire morning to malign the entire electoral process that transpired on Saturday. Every attempt this morning on this platform has been an attempt to create the impression that the entire process was warped, was violent, and it's quite shocking. You are a journalist. Is that the impression you got? That out of the 17 stations, one incident defines the entire electoral process? Was your impression that you got the entire Saturday was that the election was a violent election? Come on, let's be fair. You sit here, Eduji, and talk about insulting the intelligence of Ghanaians. You elected a candidate who has been voted out twice by Ghanaians, John Mahama. What more is insulting than that? Bawumia has not contested for Ghanaians to pass judgment on him, but John Mahama has twice. Ghanaians have said we don't want him, but yet you have elected him.
What has John Mahama got to do with
I am telling you heard him talking about intelligence, that electing Bawumia is an insult to the intelligence of Ghanaians. And I'm telling you that if that is the case, then they did it first. Because in Mahama's case, he has been elected twice. I mean, he has been denied twice by Ghanaians. How do you present a man who has been denied twice That is more of an insult to Ghanaians if you don't care to know. Now, let me come to some of the frivolous comments that Edwigi was making. Talking about petition. The party has a convention, 2014, when we held the special delegates. It was held outside of Accra in various centers. The 9 aspirants felt that this time they wanted to be at one center. The election should be held at one center. That is not the process. Nevertheless, the committee said, we will hear you. They actually sat and voted. And the final decision was that we will continue with the status quo of holding the elections at various centers. How do you come and sit here and peddle lies? Outright lies. It's unfortunate. Then he talks about thuggery. Edwigi, be honest with yourself for once. The last election you held, the last few elections the NDC held, did you not report instances of violence? Did you not report instances of attacks? Did we come and sit here and say that the entire process was bad because of those various instances? I'm asking you, did you not report instances of violence in the last 2 elections of the NDC? How do you come and sit here and hypocritically call other people thugs? John Mahama, your candidate, said he is the owner of violence. And when it comes to unleashing violence, he's an expert.
When did he say that?
John Mahama has said it multiple times. You should check.
When?
He said the NDC.
When? Because I haven't heard it. So
you haven't heard John Mahama saying that when it comes to revolutionary roots, that they know how to unleash violence. You haven't heard it? What are you talking about, Roland?
He said that in contest.
In what contest?
That there was,
what contest?
What there was violence being unleashed during elections.
What contest? What contest are you talking about?
And that they had chosen to be peaceful. And
if there is violence, Roland,
and that in context,
Roland, if there was
any entity that could,
please let me talk.
Take on the heart of being violence.
There are rules in this country. Edwigi, let me.
He said that in context.
Please, Roland, there are rules in this country. If someone unleashes violence, what do? You go to the police.
So you are saying the gentleman Alan Case
let me say what I'm saying. You don't say what I want to say. Let me say what I'm saying. No. You let me say what I'm saying. If a person unleashes violence, as a president, commander-in-chief, then you don't retaliate with violence. You go to the police. Mahama said
so you are saying the Alan K man. Please show the Alan K man. So you should go to the police.
Of course, you go to the police.
I see.
Of course, you allow the laws to work.
With all blood and
now ask yourself. No, you seem to hammer on this point so much, but the point is,
I'm not the one hammering on it. No. These are public issues.
You are the one telling the entire election.
We just spoke to Ohininto. I cannot be the one who is saying this. You don't have to attack the host in this.
I'm not attacking
because all that I'm saying are based on sentiments and concerns being raised. I'm not the one. Just look on the screen. I'm not the one who put this there.
Roland.
No, it's okay.
Roland. Okay. How do you metamorphosize everything?
Because the way you are swinging the narrative.
You are denying it.
No, please.
What narrative have I swung?
No, because you are saying that there's a deliberate. We've cross-checked and also talked to individuals who represent the various campaigns. Okay. Indeed, we'll have on the line very soon somebody from the Ken Ejapong campaign team who also speaks for him, and he's a distinguished lawyer, and then who also will raise some of these concerns. So it's not as if that somebody of the imagination of anybody.
No. I am not saying don't raise concerns. Okay. Clearly, you are not listening to me.
I'm raising questions based on the concerns.
I am not saying don't listen to me. Okay. I mean, don't raise concerns. Okay. What I'm telling you is that you cannot take an instance which is yet to be investigated and use that instance to define an entire election. That
the instance is on the screen. Just pan your eyes and see it.
Okay. Who has denied the instance? That is why the party is investigating. Party is investigating it. But my point is, the attempt to use one instance where a person made an angry attempt on a person and the person reacted, and you are using that instance to suggest that the entire process was wrong, was terrible, etc. That's the point that I'm making to you, that this is wrong. You don't do that. Absolutely not. To use one instance to define an entire election. It's wrong. Now, Edudzi talks about IMF money. Please, we have processes in place when it comes to resources we get from the IMF, etc. How can you sit here and say that President Akufo-Addo is going to take IMF money?
No, it's Hobson Addo said it.
Yeah, but he's drumming it. You see, Edudzi and I, right?
Maybe drumming.
No, Edudzi and I, okay? Edudzi and I. When we come and sit here, we hope to engage in a conversation that provides education to Ghanaians. Because you know, that is not simple like that for anybody to go and take IMF money to go and run an election. And then you cited Ohininto that people didn't earn their money. Do you know what's interesting in the Hobson video? Hobson rather alleged that somebody has paid money. And then in the same video admitted that they paid money. Did you hear that part? That they paid money, but their money was small. So he was alleging in one instance, and then in another instance, he was making a statement of confirmation that they paid money. My question to Nana Ohininto is that there are MPs, there are ministers following Honorable Ken.
Let's speak to
Mr.
Charles.
Let me land.
Please.
Let me land.
Do you want to host the program?
No, but
I'll give you your
to
chance. We'll continue after this. Please relax. Now, let's speak to, he's a legal practitioner, by the way, Charles Amodate. Good morning to you. You speak for the Kenny Japan campaign. Good morning to you, sir. Good morning to you, Lawyer Date.
Good morning, Roland. How are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm privileged for you to speak to me. Now, comprehensively, the issues that were itemized and raised during the period of the voting process by your lead candidate, that's Ken Ohene-Agyapong, how do you think, based on the position and observations you've made during the period of election, sought to mar the efforts of your candidate and then also the election? And then which are those incidents that you have noticed as a campaign team?
All right, we're going to do your last doesn't care about tell me about the incident that happened in Northeast. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Are you asking me about the incident that happened in Northeast?
Yes, about those incidents apart from the Northeast incident, and then those others that you think that also sought to hurt the effort of your presidential candidate.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, we seem to be having some difficulties with the line. Please continue. We'll try and reestablish it.
The point that I was making was that...
giving him...
No, give me what... You spoke for a long time.
You gave him...
No, please. Please, he has 3 more minutes. Let's
look,
end.
3 more minutes?
Yes.
Edudzi cited Nana Ohininto, saying that there are people following the vice president.
He didn't say. Nana Ohininto said it.
You were here. Yeah, I heard him. And Edudzi cited him. Okay? And emphasized on it. And I'm trying to point it out that one, there are people who are ministers, etc., MPs, who are also following Honorable Alan Kyerematen. Now, in the video you played of Hobson, he alleged that somebody has paid money and then made a categorical statement that his camp have paid money. That was a categorical statement. My question to Honorable Ohininto is that the money Hobson says they paid, was that also money from ministers who didn't earn it?
Which ministers?
The ministers who are following Honorable Alan Kyerematen.
Which are the ministers following?
He knows. I'm not going to mention names here. He knows.
Oh, you are saying it. He hasn't.
He knows. Honorable Ohininto knows that there are ministers following Alan Kyerematen. So the monies they paid, according to Hobson, were that monies they did not earn? Look, when we get the platform to say things, let's think through the issues very well. Because one thing, you find yourself in the position of accusing people, and you find yourself in the position of doing the very same thing you're accusing people of.
Okay, so Lawyer Data is back. You speak for the Kenny Japan campaign. Good morning to you. So can you respond to my question then? Lawyer Data.
Good morning, Roland.
Yeah, good morning. Please go ahead.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you clearly. Please go ahead with my question. I'm sure my question also was clear.
So we are okay with where we are with this particular election, and the determination of the Special Electoral College was to select out of the 10 top 5, and in fact we came within the top 5. It is not being second or being first or being third that is important to us. What is important is that we qualified to be within the top 5 of the 10. So at the moment we are just getting ready, going to focus on the base of the pyramid, which is the delegates, the polling station executives. That is where our focus is going to be. So now that this is over, what is next to us, what is important to us is an election that is going to elect the one who should bear the flag for the party. And we have the confidence and belief that since our message is very clear and it has touched the hearts and minds of the polling station executives, we know for sure that not 4th November, Kennedy Akompre-Ejiapong will emerge a winner. But so far, what happened over the weekend, some of the incidents were not all that lawful, were not all that impressive. You know, people just behave the behavior. Some of the aspirant followers were very abnormal, and it went against the rules of engagement. It violated the rules of engagement, and which Kennedy Akompre-Ejiapong spoke very well against those things. He kicked against those things because he believes in the rule of law. He's a law-abiding citizen, and therefore, if anything goes against Ghanaians, if anything goes against the law, he will definitely come out and speak against. So that's exactly what he did.
Okay. Based on all that he raised, just in a minute, does that mean you have fears or concerns based on what you have recorded and then also seen? Does it mean that you have fears going into the November 4 election? And what are those concerns that you think the party hierarchy needs to address?
Well, we are not afraid of anything because in competition, one has to go into a competition fully prepared. That is what Honorable Akompre-Ejiapong meant by I will give you a showdown. A showdown means I'm coming in fully prepared. A showdown means I will give you a run for your money. A showdown means that I will outcompete you. And therefore, the incident that has happened, I will not permit them to happen again. Okay. So we are fully prepared. We have never been afraid of anybody because we are focused. We know what we are talking about. We are fully prepared. We are ready. We have always been ready. And therefore, in competition, you know, you don't have to look at what others are doing. Yes, you need to know what others are doing in order to improve upon our strategy. So our strategy is just targeting the base of the pyramid, just talking to the grassroots, just making sure that we are on the same page with them. And so we are not afraid. We are focusing on the end of the goal. We are focusing on the end line. And everything that we are going to do between today and 4th November will be geared towards capturing a bigger share of the market, a bigger share of the delegates.
Okay.
That is our strategy.
All right, thank you very much. Lawyer Charles Amoh-Datteh speaking to us there.
Roland, Roland, let me just respond quickly to certain issues. You see, my brother here says John Mahama had lost 3 elections. Is it the case your memory is faint?
Why do you say that?
His boss, the man who gave him appointment, Mr. Akufo-Addo.
He's our president.
Yes. Was the MPP presidential candidate for the 2008 election, correct?
And so what?
Oh, please. Correct.
Yeah, sure.
2012, who was the candidate?
He was.
So if it's about a person who had been rejected, Akufo-Addo is senior in that. But it did not stop the people of Ghana, at least From
comparing orange
please,
to
please
apples.
calm down. When
Someone
you were talking,
was a candidate
I sat down quietly
fighting to be
and
a presidential candidate, and you are comparing that person to a person who contested an election. What are you talking about?
I listen to you.
Come, do proper analysis. Come on.
And in the 2 elections, Bawumia was the partner to him.
What 2 elections?
2008, who partnered Akufo-Addo?
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
2012, who partnered him?
Same.
You see, unless, of course, you have memory loss, don't go on that tangent.
No, I will go on that tangent.
But you see, and let me make the point once again. On Ghana Web today, lawyer William Kusi, the head of communication of the Kennedy Japan campaign, says Bawumia is paying 50,000 Ghana cedis to regional chairman. That's instructive. 50,000. I've listened to Hope Nadoye, and you were standing by him when he was making the comment that our chief of staff was seen directly making payments to delegates. He alleges $100,000, $5,000, among other things. How much is the salary of Madam Freema Opare? So when Nana Ohinto says that appointees of Mr. Akufo-Addo are sharing monies that they have not earned, you can connect the dots. And that is the record. You can't run away from it.
The record.
In fact, today, this morning, what you have even tried to do is to justify it by saying that, Hobson, you said we all paid.
No, then you didn't listen to me well.
Oh, please.
I said he made one allegation. He made one allegation.
But in all of this, there is clear evidence of inducement by all the aspirants. So the very process that is putting forward an MPP candidate is one clearly that demonstrates that they are willing to destroy the democratic gains that we have collectively made. As for the violence, in fact, there is a particular radio station in Tamale. They actually put out there that the Northern Regional Chairman of MPP, Chairman Samba, on the campaign, the election area, slapped Alan Chamantin's campaign coordinator, the popular Jack Sparrow. And he also returned fire. So it was slap for slap there. You see, this morning you have tried to, in a very disingenuous way, say, oh, John Mahama has said NDC. We saw a situation where an election that is supposed to be peaceful, I also West Wagon, Akufo-Addo, as the chair of the National Security Council, deployed.
No, when did Mahama say that?
Oh, please.
When did he say that?
Be calm. This morning, be calm.
When did he say that?
Look, Akufo-Addo,
try to
as the chairman of the National Security Council, deployed armed national security tax led by Azuku or whatever they call it, to unleash violence.
It's not the president who deployed.
No, he's the chair of the National Security Council. No, I beg you. I beg you,
so we have to put it.
No, that is why. He's the head of the council.
Okay.
And those,
you are making those inferences.
And those armed men came directly from the National Security Council Secretariat, led by no other person than Azugu, who Akufo-Addo had recently even promoted. When those men decided to unleash violence on innocent Ghanaians participating in the legitimate electoral process, H.E. John Dramani Mahama then said, if this conduct is unchecked going into the 2020 election, it portends violence. And it was his response to the violence that was unleashed at Ayawaso. That was where he made that comment. And lo and behold, like John Mahama being the prophet, early in 2020 election, Akufo-Addo had to kill by the use of the military and please, I am very serious. Oh, listen, I'm making a full statement.
No, what are you talking about?
I am saying that.
No. How can you allow him to say Akufo-Addo had to kill? Who did Akufo-Addo kill?
Can I make
Who did Akufo-Addo kill?
Can I make
No, you cannot make that statement here. Who
Who did Akufo-Addo kill?
We lost 8 lives in the election. There was no way. No.
Who did Akufo-Addo kill?
No.
Come on, no,
relax.
it's wrong.
No, please relax.
It's wrong.
Relax, please. No. We lost 8 people in that election. Making such inferences and naming the president as the individual, the protagonist or the antagonist, the one who killed such people, is unsavory for a morning show program.
Listen,
please, can you?
No, please. I was making a statement.
No, but you cannot say that. You cannot say that. No. Eduji.
You cut me short.
No, please relax. Let the tempest cool off, and then please. The president, as we all know as today, is not the one who killed 8 people. So 8 people died. Up to now, even this morning, I made commentary that we still do not know the perpetrators of them, and that it shows the lack of commitment from government. You can say, i.e., the president. That's fine.
You see, the government, led by Akufo-Addo, allowed armed men, security men of the state, to brutally murder
8
innocent Ghanaians.
Fine.
That's fine.
Roland, that is not fine. What is fine about that comment? What is fine about that comment?
Please listen to me.
He has withdrawn from that statement.
The government categorically allowed military men to kill people. What are we talking about here?
The martyrs of democracy.
8 people died from that.
The martyrs
There's a difference between people dying and saying that a government instructed for people to be killed.
You know me.
He's saying a government instructed for people to be killed.
Focused.
That is wrong.
In order
you
for
are focused on falsehood. That's what you are doing.
In order for Akufo-Addo to retain power in the 2020 election,
how can you say something like that?
Superintended the killing of 8 innocent Ghanaians, and today Akufo-Addo has not demonstrated any commitment to find the perpetrators of this heinous crime. 8 innocent Ghanaians, they were slaughtered openly. Their only crime is to participate in our electoral process. And I call them the martyrs of democracy, that they were brutally murdered. If Akufo-Addo, to demonstrate his innocence, he ought to be putting up a commission or an investigation in how those 8 Ghanaians were brutally murdered. You should be worried. It could be any one of us.
You should be worried.
Because that day, the only reason why they were brutally murdered is that they were at the point of collation of results. How is that a crime? That requires extrajudicial killing. In Ghana, the only way a person can be killed is by the lawful orders of the court. 8 Ghanaians were killed. And I'm saying that the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, and you see, let me conclude here. We saw the election of the speaker, how Akufo-Addo, as the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, for the first time in the history of this country, allowed armed men to storm parliament. That was a coup.
Roland, can I have a chance to speak?
And that is the conduct of the Akufo-Addo administration. So this is that I said has historical factual basis and is there.
Bogus attempt.
I am done with you.
Your bogus attempt to malign this whole process.
I am done with you.
By itemizing falsehood. No, let me speak.
Let me speak. It's beyond reasonable.
You've spoken. Let me speak.
He has demonstrated
your bogus
beyond reasonable doubt.
No, let me speak.
That this guy,
come on.
Please, that this guy will not.
Can you allow
me to talk? Let the warning sign be there. Christian Council.
Please.
Christian Council.
Please, you can cash out.
No.
Muslim Council.
You can cash out.
What
Edwin Tamaklo is newly appointed director of the legal directorate of the NDC. Thank you. Kofi Tonto also speaks for the ruling party, the MPP, and then the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Please, gentlemen. I thought you
know better.
Please, before we started,
Ghanaians were not brutally murdered.
Please, before we started, the two of you said that sometimes you forgot to call. So don't when you don't create this scenario of being enemies. Please, that's okay. But you made it clear. He also made it clear. That's okay.
The 8 Ghanaians were not brutally murdered.
Please, your mics are off. Please cash out.
From a party that killed innocent people.
Kofi, we have a short code called cash out. Star 439 hash. Star 439 hash. Star 439 hash. Can we cash out now? Okay, so we'll do cash out after the break. Kofi Tonto, you have responded. You are not satisfied.
Innocent people. That's your roots.
We're taking a break. We'll be right back.
Right.
You know the now. You are living the now. You feel secure.